Let me take you away from all this and show you the stars. Demona, I can't believe my eyes. What do you have to say for yourself? Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Today I'm taking a look at the made-to-order Marvel Legends Fantastic Four Dragon Man. Is he worth the wait? More importantly, is he worth the cost? Starting with the packaging, and while this might be a windowless box, this one is still pretty special. Back in the day, Toy Biz did a Fantastic Four Classics line, and Dragon Man was one of the rarest and most expensive. This box actually recreates that artwork, including the logo, fours running down the spine, and do you see that sliver of the team above Dragon Man's head? It continues on the top of the box, recreating that Toy Biz key art. Even the back is an homage to the Toy Biz packaging, once again including the key art, a little bio, as well as a couple of product shots, which give you some idea of the accessories. The spine is also pretty colorful, and while it does include a barcode, it's important to remember that this figure is not available in store, or for that matter, anywhere else. More on that though when we get to price. For now, and for packaging, Dragon Man gets 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and let's set this dragon free. Dragon Man might be out of the box, but there is still some assembly required. This includes his tail. It pops over this very unfortunate looking mushroom peg, and then of course we have ports for the wings. He comes with not one, but 2 different sets. Obviously, we'll be talking about these more during playability. For now, and to answer the question a lot of you might have, these were left unpainted on purpose, and are not a mistake. Well, I think it was a mistake, but we'll get there when we get there. Even so, I am going to use them for this section because they are a bit more manageable. To the top of that octopus-like bulbous head of his, Dragon Man stands at about 10¼ inches, or about 26½ centimeters. Additionally, the tail is 11 inches, or about 28 centimeters. For those unfamiliar with the character, Dragon Man is neither dragon nor man, but is actually a robot created by a kindly scientist for the purpose of deep space exploration. Unfortunately, he was corrupted by the diabolical Diablo, and in true Fantastic Four tradition was instantly infatuated with Sue Storm. He was later reprogrammed by Valeria Richards, acting as a protector / teacher / mentor for future Foundation. As someone who's been wanting a Dragon Man for years, I'm pretty well pleased. I really like the transition from the scales to just the rougher, crackier skin. It adds a lot of visual variety, and while subtle, there is a bit of extra shading in there to bring those details out. The head is sufficiently bulbous and veiny, and the seam line around the brow does make me wonder if at some point they were considering an alternate face before settling on the hinged jaw. Of course, I think we all know what this fleshy, bumpy sack looks like. An avocado. Say, what were you thinking? One thing I really like are these yellow within red eyes. I think an argument could be made that red within white would have been more comic accurate. Still, this has a lot of personality. One thing I'm not crazy about is that they sculpted the trunks onto the tops of the legs. As we'll see in the next category, it can be a little bit distracting. Beyond that though, and I can't help but feel that the recesses and lack of texturing on the elbow joints is a bit jarring. Overall though, I am very pleased with the size and proportions. A simple fix, of course, is just to utilize the articulation, and as we'll discuss in Poseability, Hasbro did do a good job on that. The weight of the wings and tail do make him a bit back heavy and therefore kind of hard to balance. You can use the tail as a kickstand, of course, but I'd be a liar if I said it didn't make certain poses a little bit tricky. That, however, is more of a conversation for the next category. Nitpicks aside though, and for presentation, I'm giving Dragon Man 5 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and with your blessing, I'm going to leave the wings and tail off for most of this section. From the top, and Dragon Man's head is on a ball joint and a disc swivel. It does have a bit of a bar in there, and the peg itself has a kind of disco ball Epcot Center thing going on for grip. Notice he can't look back, but looking down is no trouble at all. There's also lots of room in there, so he also gets a pretty good amount of tilt. Instead of alternate mouths, his lower jaw is actually hinged. On the one hand, that does kind of give him a bit of a ventriloquist dummy look. On the other hand, look how adorable he is. He's a real happy little guy. Moving on down, those swivel hinge shoulders can raise his arms 90 degrees. He does get complete rotation, but I imagine the wings will get in the way a bit. There's also forward and back with this butterfly joint, and then working our way down, we've got bicep swivel, and despite how big and bulky the arms are, we've got pinless, double-jointed elbows. And seriously, just look at the bend on that. And then at the ends of the arms are swivel hinge wrists. They can bend up this high and down this low. Moving to the middle, and Dragon Man only has a diaphragm joint. He can arch back this far, which is really good. For context, and here standing straight, and then he's got a little bit of a hunch forward, but not quite as much as I'd like to see. Not to sound greedy, but a U-joint right around here would have gone a long way. Still, the side-to-side tilt is nice and deep, and of course, no trouble with twist. Below the burgundy Speedos, and Dragon Man has ball-jointed hips. He can kick this high, which is a lot better than I expected, and he can split this wide, which is also really good. The only issue being that the sculpted trunks looks really weird. Moving down that scaly leg, though, and Dragon Man has thigh cut, along with pinless double-jointed knees with an equally impressive bend, toe articulation, though in fairness it actually does a better job of bending back than up, and ankles that can hinge, and like Dragon Man, from a benevolent space explorer to an evil monster to basically a nanny, pivot. Of course, we're not done yet. Each set of wings can swivel and hinge. Additionally, not only can the tail swivel, it's also bendy, factoring in some of the balancing issues along with not being able to really look up or hunch forward. For poseability, I'm giving Dragon Man a still good 4 points. Moving on to playability, and somebody call Steven Weber and Tim Daly, cause it's time to talk about wings. That's the kind of topical reference you come here for, right? Throughout the video, we've been looking at these more folded up wings, but lest we forget these alternate, more open ones. Also, lest we forget me saying I thought that having the wings in 2 different colors was a mistake. While you'll always be able to find artwork to the contrary, by and large, the all-purple wings are more comics accurate. So then, why are the alternate wings red? Because that's what the Fantastic Four Classics version by Toy Biz had. Don't get me wrong, I really appreciate the homage, but for the purpose of figure photography and stop motion, I really wish that they would have picked one or the other. The funny thing is, even if it isn't as comics accurate, I do like the contrast that this provides. Sound off in the comments and let me know which ones you like better. Accessory-wise, and Dragon Man also comes with an alternate pair of fists. My favorite accessory, however, has got to be his glasses. Admittedly, they're a little bit tricky to get on, but I am really glad Hasbro included them. If you couldn't already tell, I love the Future Foundation version of the character, so this just makes me happy. Of course, Future Foundation era Dragon Man would be incomplete without a book in hand, and luckily this figure does come with one, but I do have a couple of minor gripes. The first and most important one is that getting him to hold the book is really tricky. Also, and while not a major issue, the book is reuse. In fairness, it's sculpted well and you've got that Future Foundation logo nicely printed, but then you look at the back cover and realize that the whole thing is actually upside down, so when you look inside, so are the charts. Again, the bigger issue for me is I just wish he had a better grip on it. As for side-by-side comparisons, I don't have the Toy Biz Fantastic Four Classics series, but I do have this Toy Biz Marvel Legends box set. Additionally, I have this early version by Hasbro, and of course the Walgreens exclusive wave. For a couple of live action options though, and here's the 2000s movie starring Iodine Garfield, or however you say it, and the new Fantastic Four First Steps wave. Sue's there, you just can't see her because, well, you know. Now I know a bunch of you would love to see how Dragon Man scales with the Marvel Select Fantastic Four, but the ones that I have are still in box waiting for their own videos, but don't worry, I will show him off again in those. I do, however, have both Marvel Legends and Marvel Select versions of Doctor Doom to give you an idea. For another famous Fantastic Four related creature though, and here we have Lockjaw from the Inhumans, and then just for some general large-scale legends, and here we have the 20th anniversary Hulk, the celebrating 60 years Hulkbuster Iron Man, and the PS5 Spider-Man 2 Venom. For a big scaly reptile person from the distinguished competition, and here's the DC Multiverse Killer Croc Megafig, and then for a fellow winged purple Goliath, here's Dragon Man with, well, Goliath. For a relative scale comparison, here's Dragon Man with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Something I can't help but wonder is if this box style is going to be a one-off, or could it be the precursor to an entire retro card wave in this style? Sound off in the comments and let me know if you'd be interested in new figures of these costumes. Personally, I'm more hoping for a Future Foundation wave, and a Diablo to go with this Dragon Man. Back to Dragon Man though, and whether or not the two different styles of wings is a positive or a negative is a matter of taste. Personally though, I find it pretty limiting. For playability, I'm giving Dragon Man a good 4 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Dragon Man was made to order and retailed for $85. By made to order, I mean that there was a pre-order period on HasbroPulse.com, and if you didn't buy it during that period, you're not going to get it. In fact, on the aftermarket, it's already going for between $130 to $175. Granted, that's a pittance compared to what the original Fantastic Four Classics version goes for. That said, I do worry about being able to replace it in the event of breakage or lost pieces. There's also the issue of new collectors who are going to miss out. I don't personally know if I feel this is worth $85. It's definitely a better value than Mephisto at $80, and at $25 more than the Game Reverse Venom, there's a lot more plastic in the box. Balancing the in-box value against the cost, aftermarket, distribution method, and limited replacement potential, for price I'm giving Dragon Man an okay 3 points, averaging out to a better than good total of 4.2 out of 5. Agree? Disagree? Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you think of this Dragon Man and the made-to-order business model in general. While you're down there, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my upcoming Fantastic Four content. For more videos while you wait, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice and have fun. Additionally, I have this early version by Hasbro.